then it's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is at stake.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You can say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens because the governments there are all about looting and pillaging and lining their pockets and going shopping in Paris instead of actually
hold
making
on a
their
second.
country
Hold on.
better.
People on the left are going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Eric Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely. Yes.
Dr. Howard explains why the West and China wants Africa to remain poor.
Africa, historically, sub-Saharan Africa, has been fundamental to the global prosperity of the advanced countries. Okay? And Africa had a role to play. It has a role as a raw material producer. We will not allow sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital for the prosperity of everyone else. So let's get clear about that. Okay, and this means all the economic structures, all the global institutions, and the economics we teach everyone is all designed to keep Africa exactly where it is. And whether it is Europe or US or now China, it's always the same. We need Africa to be impoverished because we need those raw materials and we need them dirt cheap. Okay, so that's the message. It doesn't mean to say that there's nothing Africans can do. Of course there is. Okay, but this is the opposition that they're fighting. This is what it's about. Because if Africa does do something different, I assure you living standards of all those in Europe and North America and Asia is going to fall. Okay? And that is a big price to pay. I assure you that the West is not going to allow that without a big fight. Okay, so this is what it's fundamentally about. What I want to show you is how these structures are operating. It's just 20 minutes, so we can't do very much, but just to give you a little bit of an idea. And why I keep the ideology part there is because we are part of the producers of ideology. At universities and academic institutions, we are complicit in this whole enterprise. Okay, so the job of many Western academics is to convince Africans they have to keep doing what they're doing. Okay? And to show them it's your fault that you're poor. It's not our fault. It's your fault that you're poor. You know? So this is what we do in academic institutions, and I want to show that as well. We just start. This is what it's basically about, so you know what it's about. But I want to just show you the extent to which Africa is specializing in the production of raw materials and basic agricultural goods. We know the basic forces that have caused this underdevelopment. We know it's colonization. I will not discuss that very much because my colleague speaker is going to go into some aspects of this. But I do want to discuss the global economic structures, the global financial institutions, and economic ideology, briefly, to give you a flavor of those. The thing that you really need to see is the top line. Okay, and the extent of dependency is captured by this statistic at the top. Okay, and you compare it with all other income groups, and what you see is essentially in that one statistic how dependent sub-Saharan Africa is on raw material production. Okay, this is the very heart of what makes sub-Saharan Africa beat. Okay, here, just to have a look at one very important additional statistic. With all this export coming from sub-Saharan Africa, how much does sub-Saharan Africa account for in terms of global trade value? We know there are vast resources coming from there, but look at the bottom line in terms of global trade value. Look at that. 0.5%, 1975, 0.95% going down to 0.1. To 0.1. Meaning that with all these vast resources being produced, how much are they getting for it? Nothing. Nothing. This is a very significant piece of data. Then I just want to show you what has happened to sub-Saharan Africa, because what we know, and from all studies, no country ever develops without manufacturing. Okay, producing raw materials will not take you anywhere. Producing basic agricultural goods will not take you anywhere. And let's have a look at how much manufacturing activity takes place in sub-Saharan Africa. We can look over the last 15 odd years, 15, 20 years. And we see manufacturing has actually declined as a percentage of the total. This is percentages of total production in sub-Saharan Africa. How much of it is accounted for by manufacturing? So this figure here is 17% of the total. Most of the rest, when we talk of industry, it includes manufacturing, but the bulk of it is mining. Okay? Raw material extraction. This is the bulk of it. And here we see actually raw material extraction has stayed the same. What has caused industry to fall is the fall in manufacturing production. This is deliberate because we will never, as Western economists, as Western policymakers, we cannot afford to allow Africa to industrialize and start producing manufactures. Okay, so we will do everything to stop that. And I'm going to show you how we actually block that. It's obvious in certain ways, but it's less obvious in other ways. Now, we have actually seen periods of rapid growth in sub-Saharan Africa, misleading people, saying, oh, you know, we're now doing much better. And this has happened recently. Recently, I've had students come and tell me, we've done much better now. And you can see growth rates rose quite sharply in recent times. Now are starting to go again down. But if you look historically, the same thing happened earlier. Why? Because in these two periods, we had East Asian rapid industrialization processes. So in the earlier period, we had Japan and Korea and Taiwan. Okay, rapid growth, sucking in raw materials from Africa, driving up the prices, and then sub-Saharan African countries grew. Exporting raw materials, they grew. But after those countries finished industrialization, then sub-Saharan African growth rate again fell. Okay, but along comes China. Next wave. Okay, again, sub-Saharan African growth rises, but now China is going down. As many of you now know from the press, China is going down. But sub-Saharan Africa is going down even faster. And we're going to go back to where we were again, with very low prices of raw materials, very low growth rates, and again, the sorts of poverty that we saw once before. Because, bottom line, sub-Saharan Africa is condemned to this role, just the supplier of raw materials, not a manufacturer.
Once again, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm your host Larry, and remember, if you're watching my videos for the first time, kindly like, subscribe, comment and share on my videos. So guys, I hope you've watched the video up to the end. And this rings a lot of questions in my head. The first question being, does our leaders come across such videos? Because for one, we can talk about Prince Eric. He is saying that the West need to recolonize Africa again, because I can tell, like our leaders, they are just looting. They are so greedy. They just want everything for themselves. They don't even serve us according to the will of the people. They don't do that. Our leaders have become puppets to this foreign, to this West people. And now the second video, we can talk of Dr. Howard. I believe you've all listened to what he had to say. Now, would I be wrong to say that colonization never ended, but the West just changed how it looks? They no longer force us to do stuffs, but rather they use our leaders, the people whom we chose, the people whom we elect to serve us. That's who the West people are using to loot everything from us, to steal from us. They are using our leaders to hurt us. They are using our leaders to discriminate us. And it's true that our African leaders, we as the black nations, they need to do better. They totally need to do better. They have totally become puppets, but I congratulate Ibrahim Traore for whatever thing he is doing. Ibrahim Traore just said no to these West people. He doesn't need their help. And our leaders have become, like, I can call them cowards. They are so much afraid to join Ibrahim Traore in everything that he's doing. But that's a bold and a major step. And soon we will see how Burkina Faso will rise up again to doing good. It will stabilize its economic. And we are both here to witness that. You see, another thing we can say is that the colonizers, they never left. They never left. And I'm still stuck to our leaders. You know, our leaders are being used as the new colonizers. They are using our own people against us. I don't know if they've ever came across or heard about the divide and rule. Why are they giving these white people, these West people, these much privileges? And now, as you heard, Dr. Howard said that Africans, we are the producers. But it doesn't matter, it totally doesn't matter if you are a producer or not. As long as you're not manufacturing it, you won't benefit. You don't. You won't benefit. You see, we as Africans, we produce what we don't consume, and we consume what we don't produce. Only the West and the Chinese are the people benefiting from all this, from our produces. You've heard him say that their major target is to keep African poor, and they will fight for that. The West countries, they depend on Africa with our produces. Whatever we produce, it's what keeps these West countries growing and developing. You've heard him say that they can't afford to let Africa develop, because that means that the West countries will go down. They will go down. And that's why they have been fighting and fighting. When they heard about Ibrahim Traore talk of a borderless Africa, if we close the gates for these West countries, for these white people. We have the power. We totally have the power. But look at our leaders. Our leaders have totally sold us out. Like, it's 16% of Africans, they help their very own Africans. But what about the remaining 84%? What about the remaining 84%? What if you put that to a vice versa? That 84%, it's just about Africans helping Africans. Africans trying to help Africans develop. It's not a matter of this is the wealthiest country in Africa, this and that is the wealth. No. We are supposed to stand for our very own. We are supposed to help. Some things are just totally annoying, very much annoying. Our leaders are totally helping these West people. They are totally helping these white people to take over us, thinking that they will be spared. This is just unbelievable from our leaders. They've turned out to be total sellouts. How do you hear these people say that their plan is to keep Africa poor? Their plan is to keep Africa away from developing. And you still support them, and you still give them more privileges. Giving them more privileges to take over us. You're thinking that you'll be one of them. You are just a tool. You are just a tool that's being used. And after that, you'll be dumped. After all, you're just an African like us. So abandoning us, betraying us, selling us out, and selling our country's treasures to these West people. It's a total mess. It's a big mistake you're doing. How I wish our leaders could serve us in the way that they should. Please. This is just unbelievable from our leaders. You hear somebody has a plan of taking your family down, taking everything you own down, taking everything you own away from you, and you still support that person. I mean, have we been brainwashed or what? Have our leaders been brainwashed or what's wrong with you people? This is just so sad. It's very sad, actually. We elected politicians thinking they are leaders. We elected people who doesn't have a vision, or rather good vision, for our coming generation. They don't care about the country. They only care about themselves. They only care about their next seat in power. They only care about their well-being. The same way you fend for your families with this dirty money, why don't you just stand up, fend for the people who voted you in, defend your people, defend your country? And these people will forever be grateful to you. Do you think these West people, well, our leaders need to change. They totally need to change. Africa needs to develop. And like I've been telling you people, respect will start from us at home. Respect me, develop your country, help me improve my... No, probably this seems like noises, but for us to be respected, we need to first develop our very own countries. We need to first improve our very own people. That will stabilize us, and also our currencies. Don't be afraid. Look at what Ibrahim Traore is doing, and look at how he has increased his followers massively. It's just us, the Africans, our leaders, who are just now puppets to these white leaders, to these white people. Cowards. If only you could support what Ibrahim Traore is doing, Africa will be great, great, great again. And we will get rid of these colonizers from our countries. We can stand up for ourselves. Look at what we produce. What do they produce? In their countries, what do they produce? It's time to put an end to consuming what we don't produce. It's time now for us to consume what we produce. So guys, I know I can talk and talk and talk about how dirty our leaders are. Anyway, I hope this video makes a change. I hope it brings a change. To my Haitian brothers and sisters, viewers, subscribers, I wish you real recovery soon. Condolences to those who lost a loved one. And I wish you as a country to regain your stability as soon as possible. I'm your host Larry. Remember, if you're watching my videos for the first time, kindly like, subscribe, comment and share on my videos. And until we meet again, peace out. But wait, to our leaders, please step up. You need to change. So guys, let's meet again in the next video.